My best friend confessed, "I got your girlfriend pregnant." I said, "Congratulations, Dad." Then I revealed her medical records showing she'd been pregnant for 5 months. We'd only been dating 3. His face showed the math finally clicking, and the drama exploded. I, 28 male, have always believed that the most interesting monsters aren't the ones who hide in the shadows. They're the ones who sit at your dinner table, borrow your favorite hoodie, and tell you they love you. I just never thought they'd be my best friend and my girlfriend. Jonathan and I have a history that spans 2 decades. We were the kind of friends whose families were intertwined. Our moms traded recipes, our dads coached our little league team. We were brothers in every way that mattered. 3 years ago, we moved into a 3-bedroom apartment together. It was my name on the primary lease, a detail that seemed insignificant at the time. 3 months ago, I met Angela. She was vibrant, funny, and seemed to adore me. It was fast, one of those whirlwind romances you see in movies but never think will happen to you. She was at our place so often that a month in, Jonathan suggested she just move into the spare bedroom. "She's practically living here anyway, man. Might as well make it official." It made sense. Being the practical one, I printed out a standard subtenant agreement for her, outlining her responsibilities. She signed it and transferred me her 1/3 share of the $2,850 security deposit, just as Jonathan had when we first moved in. Everything was official. We were happy. I was happy. Last night, the illusion shattered. Jonathan and Angela sat me down on the couch. It was horribly formal. Jonathan was wringing his hands, a habit he's had since he was a kid, caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Angela was staring at a spot on the wall, her jaw tight. "Justin, we need to tell you something," Jonathan started, his voice cracking. I just waited. I've learned that when people have a script, the best thing you can do is let them perform. Rushing them only gives them an excuse to fumble their lines and claim they said it all wrong. "Angela's pregnant," he finally blurted out. Angela flinched, then looked at me, her eyes welling up with what I can only describe as performative sorrow. "We're so sorry, Justin. It happened." I felt the world tilt on its axis. The air in my lungs turned to ice, but my voice when it came out was unnervingly calm. I looked directly at Jonathan. "Congratulations, Dad." A flicker of relief crossed his face. He thought this was the worst part. He thought this was a confession, when really, it was just the opening act. He and Angela exchanged a look, a silent communication that said, "See? He's taking it okay." "I know this is a shock," Jonathan said, moving into the next phase of his script, "and we don't expect you to understand right away, but we love each other, and we're going to be a family." "I do understand," I said. My voice was still flat. I wasn't hysterical. I wasn't screaming. The pain was there, a white-hot poker in my chest, but it was fueling a strange, cold clarity. "I understand more than you think." I stood up and walked over to the shared printer in the corner of the living room. A few hours earlier, Angela had been printing something. I'd gone to grab a document I'd printed for work and found another sheet in the tray. Thinking it was one of mine, I'd picked it up. It wasn't. It was an appointment summary from her new obstetrician. I saw the name, and my heart sank. I folded it and put it on the kitchen counter for her, not reading past the header. But now, in the chilling quiet of their confession, I knew I had to. I picked up the folded paper from the counter and opened it. I turned it around so they could both see it. On the page was the summary from her appointment 2 weeks ago. It was all very standard. Blood pressure, weight, a list of recommended vitamins, and right at the top, patient is progressing well at 20 weeks gestation. 20 weeks. 5 months. I let them read it. I watched Angela's face drain of all color, but it was Jonathan's expression I'll never forget. He stared at the paper, then at Angela's stomach, then back at the paper. You could see the frantic, desperate arithmetic clicking behind his eyes. 5 months pregnant. We'd been dating for 3. The silence was heavier than anything I've ever felt. It was broken by Jonathan, his voice a choked whisper. "What is this, Angela?" It must be a mistake," she stammered, but her eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape she couldn't find. "A mistake?" Jonathan's voice rose, no longer the apologetic friend, but the cornered animal. 5 months? We've only been... You told me." The drama exploded, just as the title says, but I wasn't a part of it. It was their drama now. I stood there, the architect of their implosion, and simply watched them tear each other apart with accusations and lies that were finally seeing the light of day. After about 10 minutes of their screeching, I held up a hand. They actually stopped. "I want you both out of my apartment," I said. The words were quiet, but they landed like stones. "Justin, come on, man. Be reasonable," Jonathan pleaded, his panic shifting focus back to me. "No," I said. "The lease is in my name. You are both subtenants with signed agreements. Your 30 days notice starts now. You can figure out the logistics of your family somewhere else." I turned and walked into my bedroom, closing the door behind me. I didn't lock it. I wasn't afraid. I just needed the physical barrier. I sat on the edge of my bed and finally let the shaking start. It wasn't about the revenge. It wasn't about the reveal. It was about the profound, echoing silence where a friendship and a relationship used to be. The monster wasn't under the bed. It was in the living room, trying to figure out how to spin its next lie. Update. It's been a week since what I'm now just calling the reckoning. To answer the most asked question, no, they haven't left. Their initial shock and infighting have mutated into a strange, united front of entitlement. They've decided that my 30-day notice was an emotional overreaction, something I didn't really mean. They're treating me like a temperamental child who needs to be managed. They're still sleeping in their respective rooms, but they operate as a team. The atmosphere in the apartment is suffocating. They speak in hushed tones when I enter a room, which instantly stop. Angela tries to engage me in small talk about the weather. Jonathan claps me on the shoulder and asks if I want to watch the game later, as if he didn't detonate a bomb in the center of my life. He left his muddy Adidas sneakers on the new rug in the living room yesterday, the one I bought 2 weeks ago. It was such a small thing, but it felt like a deliberate act of disrespect. A reminder that he still felt entitled to my space, my things. The confrontation came to a head on Wednesday. I came home from a long day and found them in the kitchen, cooking dinner together. Angela was using my expensive nonstick pan, the one I've told everyone a million times not to use metal utensils on. She was scraping at it with a fork. "We need to talk about the 30-day thing, Justin," Jonathan said, not even looking at me. He was chopping onions, the picture of domestic bliss. "It's not realistic." "Angela's pregnant," he continued, as if this were new information. "We can't just up and move. The stress isn't good for the baby." Angela nodded, placing a hand on her stomach. "He's right, Justin. We need to be practical. We can all be adults about this." I stared at them. The sheer audacity of it was breathtaking. They weren't asking for my forgiveness. They were informing me of the new terms of my surrender. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't engage. I just said, "The notice stands." "And where are we supposed to go?" Angela asked, her voice rising with that manufactured hysteria she does so well. "Are you really going to throw a pregnant woman out on the street?" This is where the old me would have caved. The guilt, the pressure, the desire to be the good guy. But the old me died a week ago. I pulled out my phone. "I'm sure you'll find a place on Zillow. Or you could stay with your parents, Jonathan. They have that guest house, don't they?" The mention of his parents made Jonathan flinch. I knew for a fact they didn't know yet. They adored me. The idea of telling them that he not only betrayed his best friend, but also got a woman pregnant who was lying about the timeline, that wasn't a conversation he was ready to have. They started to argue, their voices overlapping. It was about money, about responsibility, about how I was being selfish. I let them exhaust themselves. While they were ranting, I was being methodical. Passwords. I took my laptop into my room and spent an hour changing every single password. Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, bank accounts, everything. I saw that Angela had used my Amazon Prime account to order $80 worth of prenatal vitamins the day after the confrontation. The order was canceled. The lease. I reread our lease agreement and their sublet contracts. Then I emailed my landlord, Larry. I kept it professional. "Hi Larry, I'm writing to inform you that I am terminating the subtenancy agreements for my 2 roommates, Jonathan and Angela, effective in 30 days on date. I will be seeking new roommates for the following month." He replied a day later, initially hesitant. "Justin, as long as the full rent is paid, roommate issues are typically between the tenants." I was prepared for this. I replied immediately, I understand completely. However, as per Section 7B of the primary lease agreement, as the sole leaseholder, I have the right to terminate any subtenancy with proper written notice. I am simply providing you with that formal notice, so your records are up to date. Thank you. This created the official paper trail and invoked the contract, leaving him no choice but to acknowledge it. Finances. I went online and removed Jonathan from our shared utilities account. I sent him a polite, brief email with a screenshot of the final bill. Hey Jonathan, I've separated the utility accounts. Here's the final bill for the period we shared. Your half is XX dollars XX. Please zell it to me when you get a chance. They don't know about any of this yet. They think the argument in the kitchen was the main event. They think they're still in a battle of wills with me. They're not. They are now in a battle with a lease agreement, a utility company, and a calendar. And I am just a bystander, watching the consequences unfold. Update. The official notice arrived. Not my notice, but the formal one from the landlord's management company, confirming the termination of their sublet as per my request. I had a copy taped to their doors when they woke up on Friday morning. The quiet, passive-aggressive war has now escalated into open hostilities. Their strategy has shifted. Now that they know I won't be swayed by guilt trips, they've started a smear campaign. Several mutual friends have reached out to me. The stories vary, but the gist is the same. I'm having some sort of breakdown. I've become vindictive and cruel. I'm throwing my poor, pregnant friend and her partner out for a simple mistake. They conveniently leave out the 5-month versus 3-month detail. My friend Brenda called me, deeply concerned. Justin, Angela called me crying. She said you've been volatile and that she's scared of you. That was their masterstroke, painting me as an unstable, angry man. It's a classic, disgusting tactic. The old me would have been furious, would have called everyone to set the record straight, getting tangled in a web of he said, she said. The new me is much more efficient. I wrote a single, calm message. I sent it only to the 5 or 6 close friends who truly matter. Hey everyone, I know you're hearing things from Jonathan and Angela, and I'm sorry you're being put in the middle. This is a deeply painful and personal situation for me. The only thing I will say is that I discovered Angela has been pregnant for 5 months. You can do the math. I'm not angry or volatile. I'm just trying to handle this privately and create a clean break. I hope you can respect that. I didn't have to say anything else. My real friends know me. They know I'm not volatile. The simple, undeniable fact of the timeline was enough. The calls of concern stopped. The next call I got was from my friend Steven, who said, "Just tell me what you need, man. I'll help you move their crap to the curb." Meanwhile, the financial front has become a point of contention. Jonathan cornered me as I was leaving for work. "Look, man, you have to give us our deposit money," he said, his voice pleading but laced with an edge of demand. "We can't get a new place without it. That's our cash. We need it now." "The sublet agreement you both signed is very clear, Jonathan," I said, not breaking my stride towards the door. "The deposit is returned within 30 days after you vacate, minus any damages or unpaid bills." "That's bullshit. You can't keep our money. We'll sue you." I just looked at him. This hulking figure of entitlement, a man I once trusted with my life trying to bully me. I felt nothing, no fear, just a profound sense of disappointment. "Jonathan," I said, my voice dangerously soft, "the next person you'll be having this conversation with will be a police officer, explaining why you're holding me in my own apartment against my will. Move." He must have seen something in my eyes. He deflated, stepping aside with a muttered curse. That evening, I sent him and Angela a joint email. Subject: Security Deposit Procedure. "Hi Jonathan and Angela. Further to our conversation, here is the procedure for the return of your portion of the security deposit as outlined in the subtenant agreements you both signed. 1. You must fully vacate the premises by 11:59 p.m. on final day. 2. A move-out inspection will be conducted by me to assess the condition of your rooms and the common areas. 3. A list of itemized deductions for damages, professional cleaning, and any outstanding utility payments will be compiled. 4. A check for the remaining balance will be mailed to the forwarding address you provide. To avoid any confusion, I have attached PDFs of your signed agreements with the relevant section on page 2 paragraph 4, highlighted. I have also attached photos of the condition of your rooms from the day you moved in. Best, Justin. They are now realizing they are not fighting me. They are fighting a contract, a legally binding document they both signed. They thought this was about emotion, but I've made it about procedure. Their rage is escalating because they have no leverage. Final update. It's over. The apartment is quiet. It's been quiet for a month, but it's a different kind of quiet now. It's not the tense, waiting silence, it's peace. The final week was ugly. They were sullen and hostile. There were a few petty acts of rebellion. My milk being left out on the counter overnight. The internet router being accidentally unplugged while I was in a meeting. They were like children acting out. I just documented everything. On the final day, they were gone by noon. I came home to an empty apartment and an envelope taped to my door with a key inside. No note. The inspection was exactly what I expected. Angela's room had several deep gouges in the wall, from where she'd clearly dragged furniture carelessly. The carpet had a large, dark stain that I can only assume was spilled soda left to set. Jonathan's room was worse. He had removed the smoke detector, and there was a significant amount of scuffing and chipped paint on the doorframe. The shared bathroom they'd primarily used was filthy. I didn't get angry. I got busy. I took over 50 high-resolution photos from every conceivable angle. I got a written quote from a professional painter for the wall and door frame repair, $450. I got a written quote from a professional carpet cleaning service for the stain, which they noted might be permanent, $150. I hired a cleaning service to do a deep clean of the bathroom and their 2 rooms, $300. I bought a new, identical smoke detector, $25. I compiled everything into a neat spreadsheet. I scanned all the receipts and quotes. A week later, I sent them the final accounting via certified mail, so I had proof of delivery. Total security deposit portion, John $1,900. Deductions, wall and door frame repair, $450. Professional carpet cleaning, $150. Professional apartment cleaning, $300. Smoke detector replacement, $25. Final outstanding utility bill, $88.50. Total deductions, $1,013.50. Amount to be returned, $886.50. I included a business-like cover letter explaining each charge with copies of the receipts and the original photos of the rooms for comparison. I also included a certified check for the remaining amount. The social fallout has settled. My true friends, Stephen, Brenda, and a few others, rallied around me, their trust unshaken. However, the situation did draw lines in our wider social circle. I lost a few mutual acquaintances who either couldn't be bothered with the details or who were more drawn to the drama of Angela's tearful narrative. Occasionally I'll still see a vague, passive-aggressive post on social media and know it's aimed at me. It used to sting, but now I see it as a small price for peace. I accept that I can't control every narrative. From what I've heard through the grapevine, Jonathan and Angela are living in the guest house at his parents' place. The confession to his family was a catastrophe. They are deeply traditional and were horrified by the deception aimed at me, someone they've known since he was a child. The fairy tale romance is reportedly cracking under the strain of financial pressure and familial disapproval. Last week, I was packing up some old photo albums and found a picture of me and Jonathan at our high school graduation, arms thrown over each other's shoulders, grinning like idiots. I felt a brief, sharp pang of loss for the boy in that photo, for the friend I thought I had. I let myself feel it for a minute. Then I put the photo in a box, taped it shut, and put it in the back of the closet. I don't feel vengeful or even particularly victorious. I feel clean. I took a situation that was designed to shatter me, and I handled it. I used the systems in place, leases, contracts, documented evidence to protect myself. Their downfall wasn't some grand scheme of mine. It was simply the natural consequence of their own actions. I just held up a mirror and made them look.